Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, here to share with you some RAW DNG files in Adobe Lightroom from the brand new Sony a7R Mark IV. Now, late Friday evening around 5 o'clock, I received a converter to be able to take the RAW files from the camera to convert them into DNGs to then open in Lightroom. Now, I'm giving you these RAW DNG files to play with yourself. They do need to be opened in Lightroom so that you can take advantage of those files. You can go over to FroKnowsPhoto.com/Sony a7R4DNG to download those files. Now, because it's a Saturday morning and I'm doing this myself, I'm going to be editing this video. The guys are not here working, so this is just to share with you the RAW files and give you some of my thoughts. But let's take a look at the first file. This one was taken at 1/500th of a second at f1.4, ISO 285 millimeters. Now, the first thing you'll notice over here on the right when I did my exposure correction is that I am off by a stop. I am off by a full stop. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. When I was looking through the viewfinder, the electronic viewfinder, the image based off of the exposure that I set looked right. Also, based off of the meter, it looked to be less than a half a stop off. So the viewfinder, and I've seen this in the Nikons as well as some of the Sonys, don't give me an exact representation of what I'm actually looking at or seeing in terms of the exposure. Now, the Panasonic S1 is so far the best camera to do that, where that one was spot on, and the EOS R viewfinder, well, I don't really miss in terms of exposure with that, but here we go. This is it. Let's zoom in 1-to-1 on her eye. So we are zoomed in 1-to-1. The colors, the tones, the clarity, everything looks spectacular, especially when Sony makes the claim that they are giving you medium format quality in a 35 millimeter body. Now, I call bullshit on that because I don't like when a phone manufacturer gets up there and says, we have DSLR quality in a cell phone. It's just not the case. It's a marketing ploy, a marketing term, and it's not true because a medium, you know what this camera isn't? It's not an actual medium format camera. You're not going to replicate the quality that you get and the depth that you get with the glass in combination with a larger sensor in a 35 millimeter camera. Just call it just call it the best portrait camera you've ever seen with a 35 millimeter sensor. Don't try to say what it isn't, because it's not a medium format camera. Now, again, you can download these RAW files. We'll take a look in here. We'll go in 3-to-1. Now, I think a lot of people right off the rip that are reviewing this stuff are having issues asking if the quality is good or not. And part of it is because they're zooming in so far. They are zooming in on the back of the camera on a 61 megapixel image, and we're not used to zooming in that far. But I will say I did have some trouble with focus early. Now, part of that, I'm assuming, is because it's 61 megapixels and at a slower shutter speed when I was using the 135 1.8, even with the steady shot on, at like 1/200th of a second, I was still getting some motion blur from me. And that's one of the things that you're going to have to keep in mind when you have 61 megapixels is that you're going to have to compensate with higher and higher shutter speeds to compensate for any of that motion that you may get. It's just it's just the nature of the beast. But this file is really nice and you can take a look and play with it. The next one, I was much closer at only, less than a half a stop off on this. But we zoom in, it's gorgeous. I mean, the file is gorgeous. It doesn't hurt when the model is spot on and actually gives you something with her eyes. She was great. You may be saying, why are you at 200 ISO? The reason is, there wasn't a lot of opportunities where Sony set this up to give us anything but 200 or 400 ISO because some of the lighting was absolutely dark and it was much harder to get those shots. Moving on to the next one. This one is what I do. I went up a half a stop just to show you. This is 100 ISO. So I got a 100 ISO shot. We'll zoom in on the eyeball and it's beautiful. Super smooth, super nice. You can download this DNG file and check it out for yourself. It looks great. Look at the reflection. This is a cool file. I wish I was outside for some of the images, but we really didn't have time or anything set up outside in sunlight to give you a basic 100 ISO portrait. something I'll need to do when we get this camera to test it out more, but this is more about sharing with you the RAW files. This one is at 400 ISO with a 24:1:4. I switched over to that. This is 3:1 in there. Of course, it's not going to look the greatest, being that I've bumped the exposure again by over a stop because I was off. Now, you can take a look. It's nice. I'm happy with how that looks, but I'm more of a fan of, say, the 100 ISO. When you zoom in here, it's much cleaner, especially when you get your exposure right. Now, that's something that I'll have to get used to with this electronic viewfinder, is that it may be off just a little bit, and I need to compensate for that, knowing in my brain that if it looks right, it actually may be underexposed. Now, I do have a medium format file to show you when I was at NASA in Houston. This is from a Hasselblad H6D. It's like a $50,000 setup. This is a medium format camera. This is 1:1. Look at just look what you get. And of course, I understand this one was done at 100 ISO, and it was with a strobe at f11, so it's gonna look much different than what I already shared with you. But I just wanna show you what 3:1 looks like on a camera like this. $50,000 medium format camera. Look at all of the stuff that you're picking up. This is unedited. It's just super clean, super smooth, such a beautiful file, but that's coming from a super expensive camera. That's a given. I would like to get my hands on this camera. We don't have our hands on it yet. We had to give them back. I want to get a full production model. The cameras that we had were considered, they said production, but they were not off the line, and there may be some firmware tweaks coming in the future. But this is still a good way to get you guys some RAW files to play with from this camera to see for yourself if you like the quality that you're getting out of it or that you could possibly get out of it. Now let's talk about the price real quick. It's priced right at $3,500. That's not bad at all, but I really don't know that this camera was necessary to come out already. With the A7R III being as new as it was, Sony killed that off. But that's a good opportunity for anybody out there who couldn't afford over $3,000 or $3,200 for an A7R III. The fact is, you can buy it new for $2,500, or if there's used ones, I guarantee you can get them for around $2,000. That is a fantastic camera, and it has plenty of megapixels. The sensor in that is great. The body in that is great. It just, they changed the body in the A7R IV, but if you're looking to save some money and get a fantastic portrait and all-around camera for video and photos, the A7R III is a great option. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you would like to take better pictures in only 11 days, go to FroKnowsPhoto.com/11 days, because you can sign up for a free mini video course that I created just for you guys. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.